Good morning, everybody. Today's webinar will be on why MODAPTS, a simplified time study. Before we get into this, I'd like to talk a little bit about PMC, what PMC is and where we came from. And PMC is an operations and improvement consulting company. We've been in operations since 1979. We've done well over 7,000 projects in that time frame. We have 700 plus clients, and we have 150 diverse employees throughout the world, and we are Autodesk Solutions partner. At the bottom of the screen, you can see a few of our clients that we've had in the past that have allowed us to use their logos in our presentations. PMC has several core expertise areas, one being reality capture, industrial engineering, simulation modeling, safety and quality, geospatial services, jig and fixture design, and steel detailing. I'll allow a second here for everybody to read what we have on the screen. Right. So why time? Well, time is a measurement of work that brings knowledge. Through this knowledge, factual decisions and improvements can be made and control exercised. We need to know the number of workers. We need to know the number of machines. We need to know what our lead time is. We need to know the overall production schedule, and we need to set production goals. We do all of this through a time calculation method called work measurement. Work measurement is the application of techniques designed to establish time for qualified average worker to carry out a specified job at a defined level of performance. There are several work measurement techniques such as stopwatch, production studies, work sampling, PMTS techniques, which stands for predetermined motion time systems, which is what we'll be looking at today. And within those, we have MTM, most, work factor, STD, data, and MODAPTS. There might be a few others that I'm not mentioning right here, but those are the primary ones. We'll be looking at MODAPTS today. So PMTS, predetermined motion time studies. Predetermined time is assigned to a specific basic motion of the human body. The best basic motions of any activity is established first. The time is assigned to that basic motion from a catalog of coding. These times are applicable to normal operators. Therefore, there's no need of a rating. So that's to say we're not rating the operator, we're rating the actual task. So why? Well, because it's a universal approach. It's fast to apply. It's got adequate accuracy. It's easy to understand and to learn. There's minimum paperwork involved. It's a multi-level system. You get consistent results amongst workers. It encourages method development and improvement. What are the different techniques we talked about? Well, as I said, there's MTM, it's MTM1 and MTM2. There are a few other MTM approaches based on the type of industry that you're in. There's most, there's MODAPTS, there's work factor, and there's ease. These are the PMTS techniques. So let's get into what we want to talk about, MODAPTS. MODAPTS is a modular arrangement of predetermined time standards. It was developed by Chris Heide in 1966. It's been widely accepted PMTS technique. Rating factors eliminated. It's an accurate system. It encourages methods development. And it has a reduced cost certification. MODAPTS has very few activity types to understand, so it's easy to use. The index values are for a specific activity and not for a range of activities, resulting in improved accuracy of standards. So the activity might be a movement of your finger, a movement of your wrist, a movement of your arm, your eyes, of your feet, etc. Simultaneous activities can be easily identified and assigned. Clerical and administrative activities can also be addressed. So we could talk about writing, we could talk about thought process, we could talk about typing. The cost of training and certification and recertification is inexpensive. The methodology is determined the correct and efficient work method. Divide the work method into elemental details. Every elemental detail to be identified by a two-part code. First part is an alphabetic component, which indicates the type of activity. For instance, M means move, G means get, P means put. The second part indicates a number or index value. The index value is called a mod. One mod equals 0.129 seconds, or basically an eighth of a second. All activities are classified into three basic classes of elements. You have the movement class. This class refers to movement through space done by the finger, hand, arm, shoulder, or trunk. This class must be followed by a terminal class. Terminal activities are done at the end of the movement. They're in close proximity to the things being worked on, such as moving it. Auxiliary activities are not performed with the finger, the hand, or the shoulders, or the trunk system. So that might be your legs, it might be your hips, it might be your eyes, etc. The use of MODAPTS will calculate time it'll take to complete a given job when working at a standard pace. It determines the best method, compares apples with apples, can be used for line balancing, job costing, and it's a basic building block for developing standard work instructions and process improvements. So why do you choose MODAPTS? Well, it's not complex. It uses integer values. It's method sensitive. It encourages method improvements. It highlights ergonomic concerns. It's simulation adaptable. It's inexpensive and there are no royalty fees. More consistent operation analysis. Possibility of controversy is reduced. It's embraced by labor unions and based on normal body movement and values based on one mod. Why is MODAPTS more superior to time study? Well, time study requires a stopwatch. Stopwatches can be intimidating. MODAPTS does not require a stopwatch, so it's seen as less intimidating. Time study is actually a performance rating. That is to say that we're actually looking at the worker and how good the worker does their job, rather than looking at the task and how long the task takes to be done. So MODAPTS has no performance rating, so it eliminates any personal bias. Time study is not ergonomically sensitive, so it's blind to any health risk. MODAPTS is ergonomically sensitive and to focus on the body parts and movements. Also, time study is not method sensitive. What is recorded is what you're looking at. MODAPTS is method sensitive. It needs to be looked at how it should be done. Cost of implementation for a stopwatch versus MODAPTS. For 15 minutes of cycle time, a minimum of 10 to 15 cycles would have to be observed to develop standard data with a stopwatch. Another hour would be consumed by application engineer to write up the study. For MODAPTS, only one cycle would need to be observed. For MODAPTS, every minute of cycle, 20 minutes would be required for the application to be written up. Thus, MODAPTS would be far less costly to implement and more accurate. So in summary, what we talked about today is MODAPTS is a widely accepted. MODAPTS is easy to learn and easy to apply. MODAPTS is reliable and consistent. MODAPTS is accepted around the world. and MODAPTS can be used in nearly any industry. And I'm sure there's many questions that we might have about MODAPTS or to MODAPTS and more how to apply MODAPTS in your industry, or even how you can learn MODAPTS. So feel free to ask questions. If you would like to learn something more about MODAPTS, feel free to contact PMC and we can set you up with the proper classes to get certified. So Veronica, I give it back to you for questions.
Sure am. So let's see. Let me pull up our chat here. Yeah, we got a question for you. So they're curious how long it takes to perform a time study.
Well, time studies are completely based upon how many cycles, I'm sorry, how much time it takes to perform a task. And then how complicated that task is would determine how many cycles we have to observe. So if you have a task, maybe a cycle time of 30 seconds, then that would probably take two cycles to observe. Then it would take another 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes maybe, to do the paperwork on it. So a basic rule of thumb, for every 5 minutes of work content, that means human work, not machine activity, purely human work. For every 5 minutes of human work, it'll take about 3 to 4 hours to complete the study.
Okay. So let me try and read this question. Can MODAPTS be applied to automated systems or is it only for manual work?
MODAPTS is only for manual work. For automated systems, the time is what it is. So really, you just take a stopwatch. If the machine is running for 45 seconds, it's going to run for 45 seconds every time, unless you speed it up or unless you slow it down or unless you put an outside factor to affect that machine. So that's a given. You don't need to perform any kind of study on that other than the actual stopwatch time.
Okay. So they're curious also, how much money could they theoretically save using MODAPTS? It seems like it would be uh, a very
No,
generalized question.
very general. It really depends on, how efficient are you right now? We've been able to remove in a standard cycle, a standard 30-second cycle, we've been able to remove 10% of waste, 10% non-value added time. So if we remove 3 seconds for every cycle of 30 seconds, and we do that, you repeat that 300 times during the day, do that 5 times a week, well, you can see how the seconds begin to add up. The seconds add up to minutes, which add up to hours, which adds up to days. So as far as production goes, you can seriously save some. You can save some real time, but it really is based on what your cycles are, what you're doing, and how inefficient you currently are. That would actually take an evaluation to take a look at it to even bring you into the ballpark.
Okay. And they're also curious, what does it take to get a MODAP certification? Time to complete, cost, where do you go? And is this somewhere on the PMC website?
So I believe it's on the website.
Yep.
Veronica, I would have to defer to you. But
Yep, it is.
Okay. PMC does public training. So you can come to PMC when we offer one of the public training courses. We have our certified instructor there, and that takes a few days to do. You take a test at the end. Sometimes I guess it takes up to a month to get your test results back. When your test results come back, if you've passed, then you will receive your certification. Your certification is good for a couple years, and you have to recertify. Um, you can also call PMC and we can set up to have an instructor come to see you. The instructor can come on your site and perform MODAPTS. You normally require 3 to 4 people in the class. The cost is, I'm going to estimate the cost is approximately $1,100 per person. I think the public training is a little less expensive. Um, and then there's also a third option of doing it at a self-paced learning where you do it online with the instructor available for questions and answers. And I really don't know what that cost is on that. And the timing of that is really up to you, how long it takes you to complete the course.
Okay, and we've dropped that link in the Q&A as well. We can send it in our emails that we send out with the recording of this webinar later today as well. I believe that's all the questions that we had, Bob. So nothing else to cover.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining today. I appreciate it. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. The information is on the screen.
Okay, thank you all so much. Have a great day.